The previous module addressed the misconceptions that all tokens are cryptocurrencies. They're not, and that all tokens must run on the same blockchain technology as cryptocurrencies. They can, but they don't have to. However, tokens do require an underlying platform, whether it's a blockchain, another form of distributed ledger, a simple database, or something else, to exhibit certain properties. It's worth touching on these briefly before moving on to the more important discussion of using tokens to enable new forms of business processes. We've defined tokens as digital representations of value that have programmable behaviors and noted that multiple parties can use programs called smart contracts to invoke those behaviors. The key difference between token-based and traditional transactional interchange is that tokens reside on a shared underlying medium that uses cryptographic techniques to decentralize and democratize trust and authenticity. That medium, whatever it is, must ensure that a token is cryptographically secured so that the owner is well known and that the spending or transfer of a token preserves authenticity. Many organizations are focused on platform issues. At the InterWork Alliance, we are taking a different approach, devoting our attention to the representation of what you can do with a token, which is directly related to how the token was defined. There are literally hundreds of thousands of tokens already on the market now, with more being developed every day. And no two tokens are exactly alike. Just as there is fragmentation and lack of interworking at the platform level, the same applies with tokens. There is just no standard language for defining tokens. And this lack of standards makes it nearly impossible for a unified market to emerge. If you were to study any number of tokens already on the market, you would find that virtually every token is in fact a composition of smaller elements, many of which are common across a wide number of tokens. These composable elements can be identified, classified, cataloged, and arranged into a standard taxonomy from which, with the proper tooling support, businesses can define and developers can implement new tokens composed from this taxonomy. Although the number of possible combinations is virtually infinite, if all organizations compose their tokens from a universally agreed to standard taxonomy, the ability for tokens to interwork both within and across industry use cases is dramatically improved. To put the importance of this degree of standardization into perspective, consider the field of music. There are just 12 notes in the musical language, but an infinite number of unique compositions can be produced based on these notes. With every composer following this globally agreed-to taxonomy of notes, any musician in the world can pick up a piece and immediately understand how to play or sing it, or modify it, or add to it. The InterWork Alliance has applied the value of universal taxonomies to the field of digital tokens and has encapsulated the language of token composition into the Token Taxonomy Framework. In an upcoming module, we will illustrate how you can work directly with this framework using visual tools to both define new and understand existing tokens in order to bring your dreams of improving the world to fruition. No technical expertise required. Just some basic understanding of the composable elements is needed in order for you to be productive with the Token Taxonomy Framework. The next module will introduce you to the 4 key concepts that you must understand in order to use the framework effectively: classifications, properties, behaviors, and contractual relationships. There are other details that need to be settled in order to complete a token specification, but by applying your knowledge of these 4 concepts, you will be able to very clearly map your requirements into the backbone of a token specification that can be completed by a specialist. Before moving on to the next module, there is one key point to keep in mind. The Token Taxonomy Framework is a living work. As we apply the framework to an ever-increasing and ever-diverse set of use cases, we expect to uncover gaps in the framework that we will fill with new and adjusted elements. In order to keep these modules from becoming quickly outdated, we will concentrate on explaining the organization of the taxonomy and some of the most common elements, leaving the details for discovery via the tooling and documentation.